Good morning. How's everybody doing so far?
Good.
Doing good, Kelly.
Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Can't wait till we can get back in the office on a larger scale here.
I know it.
Well, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. So I'm just going to wait maybe one more minute just to see if anybody else jumps in, and then we'll get started, okay? Okay. All right. Well, it's 11:01 according to my clock. So I'm going to start the recording here so we can get this baby recorded. I'm also going to share my screen with you guys because there's going to be a couple things that I want to go over with you and show you. So I'm going to open that up and I want to confirm that everybody can see my screen. Good to go? Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
Awesome. Okay. So a bunch of agents had put on our KW Facebook page that they wanted to have a class about, always being asked to reduce commission and how do we get around that? And, let's kind of brainstorm on that. So I kind of want to, I'll show you guys some stuff and I kind of want to just mastermind together, and I've got a ton of scripts that I'm going to go over with you guys. Okay. So hopefully you can pick up one or two that you like and that you can use. Couple things that are, commission objections or objections in general are just buying signs, right? Those are good things. And we really should expect those as agents. And the best way to just be prepared for that is to know our scripts back and forth, right? So that we're prepared to answer. We don't have to think about what we're going to do. If they ask us, we just know how we're going to respond, right? And that's why script practice is so important. But commission objections specifically will happen more often than not, you guys, when they're not seeing your value, right? So I wanted to play this little video for you because I think this explains a lot when we're talking about commissions and a seller interviewing a couple different agents, okay? So let's watch this video first, and then we'll get to talking more about the scripts and how we can overcome those specific questions. So here you go.
So the question is, will people pay for value? I'd like each of you to think of the last car you purchased. At the time you were making that purchase, were there lesser priced vehicles available? And in most cases there were. So for those of you who paid more than the others available, I ask you the question, why? Why would you knowingly pay $5,000 or $10,000 more for a car? When I ask people in audiences why they do that, they'll say, we got better horsepower, we like the brand, we like the mileage, we like the storage space, GPS. They go on and on and on, all about the things that they like better. So the message to you is you have got to show your points of difference, because if you don't, you're going to be seen as a commodity. And a commodity is when item A and B and C are all identical. There's no difference between them. That would be sugar, beets, wheat, gold, cell phone minutes, insurance, things like that. People look at it and they say, well, I can't tell the difference between them. So if you're looking at three items, three flat screen TVs or whatever, and you can't tell the difference, the question is, how do you decide which one to buy? The answer is you pick the least expensive, because it becomes a price purchase. So if somebody's looking at Realtor A, they look at you and Realtor C, and they cannot tell the difference between any of you. They go, well, let's go with the one with the lowest commission. So oftentimes when you get a commission objection, it's because they cannot tell the difference between you and your competitors. So the question has to be, what is your difference? So we take a look at Realtor A, B, and C. And when you quote different commissions, maybe your commission is higher than somebody else. And the question they're going to ask is, well, what's the difference? And if all you have to say is, I charge more, You got to have something better than that. So you need to know your difference. So your whole goal based on KFT04, the message from that was you need to have a difference, be able to sell the difference, have them recognize the difference, and be willing to pay for it. So another key point here. Let's take a look at two commission rates. This is your commission. This is your competitors. And the seller says, well, we're going to list with somebody else, and they charge, let's say, 1% less. Major point. You don't have to sell your whole commission. They already agreed to pay this much commission of your competitor. So if you take that over here, all you need to do is sell one little tiny percent difference. You take this little tiny percent and you talk difference only. You don't talk the whole thing. You just say, let's see what you get for this additional 1%. And then maybe it's a $350,000 home. You go, you know, we're talking $3,500 difference in our fee versus the other one. And then what you do is you take this $3,500 and you contrast that to all the features and all the benefits of you and your company. And maybe you sell it sooner. Maybe you sell it for more money. You have a lower expiration rate. So you balance the $3,500 to this. And if the other company sells homes for 1 or 2 or 3% less than asking price, well, there is the difference in your $3,500. And by the way, as it relates to this chart, next time somebody says, well, the other company charges 1% less, here's what you do. You turn to the owner and say, I appreciate the fact that you have an opportunity to pay less for the other company. But my question to you is, if our fees were the same, who would you list with tonight? Powerful question. Let's say, well, if the fees were the same, we'd go with you. And you go, great, why? And they'll say, well, because we like your marketing, we like your reputation, we like your internet services, we like the way you handle our friend's home. And they start itemizing all these differences, which I talked about in the last slide. You say, well, do you now see why our fees might be a little bit higher? That may be the most powerful technique I'll give you on this. And by the
Okay, so what'd you guys think of that little video? And what are some of your ahas?
I like that he put the ball in their court to tell you what they liked about you and your company. It wasn't you spouting, hey, this is what we have. It's like, well, what do you like?
Right, and they're clearly stating what makes you different, right? So they're almost answering the reason why you charge more for you. You didn't have to tell them. What
Now,
else?
is that something that happens a lot? I mean, is
Yes.
there? Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We've got a lot of, discount brokers around here too. We got a big company that charges 3.99%, right? And so it does happen. So what other ahas from that?
I like that we're not commodities. We're all different. Even inside Keller Williams Brokerage, we're all different. We all have different services, different experience, different everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the whole thing right there, you guys, is do you know your difference, right? Do you know what your value proposition is, I guess? Do you? Do you guys all have like what makes you different? If you're sitting in your presentation, are you prepared to tell them what makes you different or show them what makes you different?
So I have a quick question in this regard. So my husband and I, when we sell homes, we own a cleaning company, and we're going to be offering like a free sale cleaning or a free move-in cleaning, that kind of thing, when somebody works with us. So if we're sitting in a meeting, and we're discussing percentages and that kind of thing, and a client, wants us to lower our percentages, is it reasonable or unreasonable then to say, yeah, we could maybe lower that, but we would have to, forego the free sale home cleaning, or is that something that we just kind of have to eat?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely, you guys. And when we get to the scripts that I'm going to show you, and we'll kind of role play those and go through them together, you'll find that, that's easily one thing that you can do. You could say, well, great. We went over the marketing plan and I showed you all the things that I do, that I know will get us to the closing table on time successfully. So if you're asking me to reduce my rate, then I can't do all of these. So which one of these items would you like to remove from the marketing plan? Or which 2 or 3 of these would you like to remove? Let them choose. Or you, Lisa, could specifically say, well then, if I'm going to take a reduced commission, then I'm going to reduce some of the things that, are expenses to me, but benefits to you. So, we won't be able to provide a professional clean upon closing, or however you want to put it. Right.
Okay. And you find people aren't like terribly upset in that regard?
No, I think what happens is it's kind of called the takeaway, right? Because now you're taking away something that they really liked in your marketing plan, right? Now they're like, crap, I really wanted to have that professional clean done, right? And so they may decide, you know what, that's worth it. But again, it's how good of a job you're doing in building the value that you bring. If you're charging an extra percent compared to somebody else they're talking to, and all you're telling them is that you're going to do a professional clean, in their mind, they could say, you know what, hey, we'll just hire Molly maids and they charge only $300. That might be way less than 1%, right? So you've got to make sure that you're really building value above and beyond just a cleaning service, or the fact that you do professional photos, or whatever that one item is. Really build value to yourself.
Sure.
Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to share my screen again here. I'm going to share a different screen, and I want to kind of look at some of the scripts that we can use when we come across the commission-ectomy question, right? So this top part here in red, I just want to go over with you guys. Here's the thing. You're supposed to get objections in real estate. In fact, top producers will tell you that they not only expect objections, they actually look forward to them, okay? And the key, as we mentioned right when we started this, was to build your skills and learn those scripts necessary so that you can become bulletproof and overcome those objections. And the more you practice them, the more they just become normal dialogue, right? And it's not like they're seeing you sweat and you're fumbling over how you're going to respond. This just becomes pretty natural, right, to how you respond.
Hey, Kelly, I do have a quick question. Where do we stack as far as BAC goes? I mean, is there a lot of companies that don't do that, and then where are we as far as the price point versus other bigger?
Most of the brokerages charge some kind of a BAC. They might call it something different. I think there may be one in town that doesn't, at least in the Rochester area, maybe one or two, but they're fairly small.
Okay.
And I think we're on the low end.
Okay.
Remax is way higher. I think Edina is higher. So I mean, we're competitive across the board.
Okay.
Okay. And again, that's a whole different script. If you are running into problems with collecting the BAC, then we should work on scripts for that. Okay. Because I never have an issue collecting it. So just let me know if you guys are having issues with that. Okay. So let's kind of go through each little script, and some of these can be a little different. Okay. So your seller looks at you and says, will you reduce your commission? The first response is just say no. And then stop talking, right? Because he who talks first loses. So, if they just said, so Kelly, would you reduce your commission? I said, no. And then there we sit. It's a little awkward, right? But at some point in time, they're going to give in and go, oh, okay, and move on, right? Or they might say, why not? And then I can go in to explain, right? But sometimes people feel compelled to just ask the question. Like they're just that kind of person, right? I don't want to have to pay full price for anything. So I'm just going to ask. And if you just say no, sometimes that's enough. And they move on. Okay. So I'd probably start with that one first. Another response could be, hey, what if your boss came to you and said, I want you to do the same job for less, but you're also going to need to have to work harder? Would that motivate you? And most of the time they're going to say no, right? Say, well, that's the same for me. I will need to work hard for you. And isn't that what you want? So like putting it in their perspective, right? Like, hey, if your boss asked you to take a pay cut, you wouldn't really like that. What do you guys think about that one?
Love it.
Yeah. We used to do that all the time too and say, hey, you work at Mayo, right? Oh, okay. So if you went to work for a week And at the end of the week, your boss came in and said, you know what, you did a great job. We really value you. But we're going to pay you 2/3 of what we normally pay you. I mean, that would not go over very well, right? So it's kind of the same thing. It's like, if you want me to give 180%, I need to get paid my full fee, or my full fee. Okay. Not everybody can do that one though. So response number 3, Sarah, read that one.
I wouldn't do that to you. If I can't maintain the integrity of my commission, how can you expect me to maintain the integrity of negotiating the value of your house?
What do you guys think of that one?
I don't like that one.
No? What don't you like about it?
I don't know. It seems abrasive.
Does it? So
Little
maybe
bit.
it's just because Sarah had to read it for the first time, right?
No,
But if you
well,
got-
and I was looking at that one before, and I don't know. It's just like, I think there's a better way to go about that. In my head, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, but
No,
yeah.
that's all right. That's all right. I
It's
do
probably
think-
largely delivery too, like the way that you deliver it. If you delivered that one in like a joking tone, I
Right.
could totally see that being something that like both people just kind of laugh over, like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that, or whatever.
Right. And I don't know if necessarily joking, but I know what you mean. Like if you just said, you know what, I wouldn't do that to you, because if I can't maintain the integrity of my commission, how would you expect me to maintain integrity of negotiating the value of your home?
Well, it's your
That
duty.
sounds much
you know?
better.
Yeah. I don't know.
And therein lies what we talked about in practicing these scripts and making them just sound more, conversational. So I know we put Sarah on the spot there for saying, just go ahead and read it, right? But just know that all of these will sound better when you practice them and internalize them. Okay. But that's why I'm giving you lots of different ones, because not everybody's going to connect with all of them, right? So you kind of have to figure out what it is.
You know, Kelly, to follow up with that script, I've heard it used, that similar script used in a way like this. Basically, if somebody tells you that another agent, well, so-and-so is willing to discount their commission, I've heard this script kind of twisted around, and maybe this will feel better. Interesting, Kelly, if so-and-so is willing to negotiate their commission, how do you think they're going to do for you when it comes to negotiating on the price for your home with other buyers?
Correct.
You know,
And
to
I actually, I
Swish-
love that. Yes, I love that script, Sarah. And I actually have that a little bit lower when we get to the point when we're talking about another agent, we'll do it for less.
Okay.
Right now, I'm focusing on if they just point blank look at you and say, will you
Gotcha.
reduce your commission, right? They're not saying we're going to compare you against another agent. Okay. So, but you're right. I love that script. I go to that one all the time. So let's look at the next one. Who wants to role play that one? So how about Aaron? I'll be the seller and you be the agent. So Aaron, will you reduce your commission?
Of course, as you know, commissions are negotiable, but let me ask you, what are you trying to accomplish by getting me to reduce my commission?
So I put a little note, you guys, here that I love this, because he's really trying to figure out, why are you asking me to reduce my commission, right? Because just because they ask you to reduce it, we don't really know how to answer the objection necessarily, right? Because what's their point, right? So and what I say, well, obviously I want to save money.
I understand. Do you know how commission structure works?
Not really. I just know that if I have to pay you a certain amount of what I receive for my house, and that means I have to keep less.
Let me explain what happens when you reduce a commission. First of all, half the commission usually goes to the cooperating agent or the buying agent. And when you reduce the commission, you reduce the incentive for the agent to bring buyers to your house. If an agent has 10 different houses and 9 of which have 3% commission and 1 of which has 2.5% commission, which house do you think you're going to show?
Well, probably the one with the larger commission.
Absolutely. You're putting yourself at a disadvantage competitively when you reduce your commission. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would. Okay. So now you might tweak that a little bit, shorten it up. But I like the fact that when you're saying, hey, normally we share half of our commission to incentivize other brokerages, to bring their buyers. And if you're going to cut the commission, which means I have less to share, then you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage competitively, because these buyer agents have many other homes that are paying 3% and you're only paying 2.5%. So isn't that a disadvantage? Wouldn't you agree? Right? And I like the fact that wouldn't you agree, you're getting them to go, oh yeah, I didn't see it that way, right? So you're getting buy-in that that's not a really good idea.
I like that one. That one's real. You know what I mean? It's just a fact.
Well, and let's be real, you guys, most of these people don't know how our industry works, right? They don't get what happens on the back end. All they know is they're paying us 6% commission or 3% or whatever. And for the purposes of this training, we're not telling anybody to say or use specific commissions. We're just going to use kind of 3 and 6 because it's easy for example purposes. But, let's be real. They don't get how realtors work and how our industry works. So giving them a little bit of education isn't a bad thing, right?
So what about when it's if the seller's already the broker, the other agent is paying 2% instead of your normal 3%? Do you negotiate with the other agent, or that is what you're going to get, period, with the other agent?
Is that, you mean like when you're writing an offer?
Buyer? No, like say I know that I'm the buyer, I'm the buyer's agent, and I have a seller's agent, and I noticed that normally I see that it's a 3% commission, but this one I saw, one of my buyers was looking at this house and I saw that the commission's only 2% when it's normally 3%. Can you negotiate with the other agent, or is that what it is, 2%?
No, you can always negotiate with the other agent. I would say that's between you and the other agent, not between your buyer and any of that.
Correct. I wasn't aware of that, so that's good.
Well, so you could call the other agent and say, hey, we're going to write an offer, but typically I charge 3% and it looks like you're only paying 2%. Would you be willing to pay 3% to cover our buyer? Otherwise, my buyer is going to have to make that difference up. And if they say, nope, we're only paying 2%, now you can go back to your buyer and say, hey, this seller is only paying 2% of my 3% fee. That leaves you with the difference of 1%. Now we could go and ask the seller to pay 1% towards closing costs, which would help cover that, right? So there's lots of easy ways to negotiate it where in the long run the seller.
And it's good that you're telling me this, because to me as an agent, I'm like, oh great, this one's only going to be 2%. So I'm glad that I locked in when I was able to.
Well, good. And that is a point, you guys. Like, don't leave your money on the table. This is your money. You work hard for it. It's a fee you charge, and you shouldn't feel bad about saying, hey, remember, buyer, when we sat down and we filled out the buyer representation agreement and I told you I charged 3%. Well, and I said the majority of the time, the seller will offset that. Well, this is unfortunately one of those situations where the seller's only willing to pay 2 of that 3%. So here's some options that we have,
So under those circumstances, correct me if I'm wrong, usually the sellers pay 6%. So the other agent is trying to commission 4% and only pay the other agent the 2%, correct?
Not necessarily.
No?
So we don't know what's happened on the other side of that, right?
Okay.
We don't
don't
know
assume.
what arrangement the agent and the seller have come to. Maybe that agent agreed to only accept 4% or 5%, right? And so now they're only willing to share half of what they're making or a portion of what they're making so they can retain as much as they can. So don't worry your pretty little heads about what happened and why they came to what they're offering in the MLS. What your job is to get to the bottom of what is the maximum that seller's willing to pay as far as a buyer agent fee, and how can you negotiate, or not negotiate, but how are you going to collect the remainder of your fee, right? And so many people go right to, don't worry, buyer, I'm not going to charge you the difference. Well, think about if you do that a lot, and I know, Aaron, you work in Winona, you're in an area where that happens a lot. that's a lot of money left on the table, right? Over the course of a year, if you do 10 transactions and you're losing 0.5% on all those transactions, that's a lot of money. So remember that you can go back to, if you're doing your buyer consultation and your buyer rep presentation correctly, you can go back to your buyer and remind them that, remember when I said I charge 3%, and you know that the majority of the time the sellers will pay that. This is unfortunately one of those situations where they're only willing to pay 2%. So your first option is, you know, you're going to pay the difference as far as that in closing costs, or we can now go in our offer back and ask the seller to pay an additional 1% towards closing costs, and that will cover your portion of commission. Very simple, right? But people are afraid to do that last step. Don't be afraid to go back and ask and say, how would you like us to handle that additional 1%?
I like
You
that.
know,
How
you
would
want to
you
pay
like
that?
to handle that additional
Yeah,
1%?
how would you like to
Because
handle
it gives
that
them
additional
the
1% of my fee? Would you like to pay that at closing, or would you like me to try to negotiate that into seller paid closing costs?
Okay, good
Right?
idea. I like that.
Okay.
Kelly,
Yes.
I've heard you use the term fee and commission both times today. Do you see any difference between one or the other when talking with clients?
I haven't. I guess it probably might confuse them, you know, but you know, you can just say, I charge a 3% commission to represent a buyer, or, you know, hey, Mr. Seller, I charge a 6% commission or fee, I guess, whatever you want to use, whatever you're more comfortable with, you know, to represent a seller when we list their home. Okay. All right, cool. So the one thing I wanted to point out was, you know, on this particular response, number 4, the seller had said, I'm trying to save money, right? When Aaron said, well, you know, let me ask you, what are you trying to accomplish by getting me to reduce the commission? And he says, I'm trying to save money, right? Another way we could respond to that is by then kind of showing our statistics, right? Our personal statistics on how we net sellers more money, right? I could say, well, you know what? I can really appreciate you saving money. I'm all about that myself. So let me just share with you that, you know, my sale price average for my sellers is 98%. That's 3% higher than our MLS average. So just know, when you list your home with me, I'm going to net you 3% more than any other, you know, than all the other agents in our MLS average out. So if you're concerned about a 1% differential, just know that I'm going to net you 3% difference. So you're going to walk out of here with 2% on average more. Right? So you can sell the value in what your statistics are to show them how you are going to net them more money or save them more money. Okay? Now, if you guys are too new, that you haven't developed the statistics or don't have the statistics individually, use Keller Williams statistics. Hey, did you know that our brokerage nets sellers more money on average by 2%? So right there, by using us as full service and full commission agents, we should end up getting you 1% more above and beyond what you're even paying in commission than the average of all the other brokerages in our area. Okay, so and Lisa and Katie, they send out those, you know, those statistics, those reports, the lore report that we get. Those are the numbers that we should be using in our presentations to show people what we're doing and how we can get them more money. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Hey, I do have a part of that. So, or a question to that. I mean, what would you contribute it to then? I mean, is it just seasoned real estate agents that are doing a little bit above and beyond, or, you know, how are we making up that 3%?
Well, you're either netting, you're pricing properties well so that they're netting more.
But is it staging and then, you know, drone video and like, cause I mean, obviously we're doing something different, right?
Well,
Is it just a color?
we're an education and training company.
Sure.
So the fact that we're teaching our agents how to run their business and do their business better, I would attribute the fact that we do better for our clients because we're more educated agents, you know,
Okay.
and we have great technology, right? All of those things attract buyers. And
I hear them in my head like, okay, so what are you doing different? You know, and then, you know, what do you say? And then I guess that's why I asked that question.
mm-hmm. Yeah, we're an education and training based company and actually rated #1 across all industries, not just real estate, for our education and training. So what that means, Mr. Seller, is you are getting top educated agents with top technology out prospecting for buyers for your home and helping you price your home to put your home at the best position where it's going to attract the most buyers and possibly even drive your sale price up. That's how we're able to net more for our sellers.
Good.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
those are just little scripts you're going to learn to be able to respond to them. And they're going to go, whoa, okay. And the proof is in the pudding, right? You could even print out from the North Star, MLS. You can print your stat sheet. Here you go. I just printed this out this morning from North Star. You can see that I net my clients from my listings. I net on average 98% sale price to what they were listed at. Here's the MLS average. They're at 95. So if you list with me, I'm going to get you 3% more than the MLS average of all the other thousands of agents. I'm going to net you 3% more. And all I'm asking or all I'm charging is 1% more.
It seems silly that you wouldn't bring that with. You know, I mean, it's just.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're saying. Be prepared.
I mean,
be prepared to show your
value.
value.
This conversation wouldn't even happen. You know what I mean? It's like, look at this. I mean, you know.
Well, but you might not be in that. You may not have presented that yet, right? You might be in the part of the presentation or the consultation with your seller where they just go, hey, I'm just going to ask you right up front, what do you charge?
Sure.
You know?
But I mean, that'll
Okay,
stop them
well,
in their tracks. You know what I mean? Like, here you go. You know, this is why.
Right. Okay, so response number 5. Stella, let's do this one. You be the agent. Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Do you remember at the beginning of our conversation when I told you that if I came across a need or an expectation that you have left that I felt that was not satisfying or did not exceed, I would choose not to take listing? I think we just reached that point. You see, I believed in a win-win relationship. I firmly believe one party should not have to lose for the other party to win. If I take your listing, I'm going to provide you with exceptional quality and consultative type service that will be definite win for you. If you want to discount me and pay me my agent's fees of 5%, does that make sense? Do you think I can do professional work for you? Great. Then shouldn't we make this a win-win relationship from the start for both of us?
Okay, what do you guys think of that one? So bottom line, you know, I believe in a win-win. And if I take a lesser commission, that's a definite win for you. However, if you discount me and pay me only 5%, that's a definite lose for me. So I can't operate on 5% versus 6. That's, you know, not my business plan. I'm able to show you and give you all of these things in my marketing plan for 6%, not 5%. So.
And I think if you actually take the 5%, you're only lowering the type of quality that you're actually going to be performing in reality. You don't want to lower yourself.
Well, and that's
because you're going to still be doing the,
Right, and that's why going back to what we just said, when you can go back and say, I net 98% for my sellers because I do all of these things, right? When you start reducing what you're paying me, that means I have to reduce what I can do on this end because my business plan won't allow for me to continue to do all of this with less income coming in. So when I start to reduce over here, what happens to you over here, Mr. Seller, is you're not going to net the most for your home, nor am I going to be able to attract as many buyers as I attract. So really, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Okay.
Yeah.
And again,
Or you're not
right,
valuing yourself.
right.
I think you don't value yourself. As me being a first year in the business, I noticed that I feel like that devalues you as your work if you're actually willing to take a cut. I remember you saying that at one of your meetings. If
Mhm.
you value your percentage, you're not really valuing the type of work that you're doing.
Right.
So
Right. And again, just like in that video that we watched, you have to know your value and you have to know your difference, and show it. Because if they don't see it and they look at you as you're all the same, all of you realtors are doing exactly the same, then we become that commodity, right?
Yeah.
So we have to show that we do something different. And that question he asked, okay, if commission were off the table, if we were the same, who would you choose right now? And they would say, well, I would pick you. And you would go, well, why? Why would you pick me? And then they're going to start listing all the things why they would pick you. They had to pick you for a reason, right? Because if price is equal, they're going to tell you the differences. And then you can say, those are the differences that make me, the agent that nets my sellers 98%. And that's why I charge 6% to do my job, right? It becomes a very easy sell when you can show them your value. Okay. All right. So now let's move on to not just, will you reduce your commission? Now we're specifically being asked for commission. Hey, another agent will do it for less. Will you? Okay. So response number one is, hey, I can appreciate that there's someone who will work for less, but that concerns me. And can I tell you why? You want to hire an agent that's a tough negotiator to get you top dollar for your home. And if they're so quick to give away their own money, how tough will they negotiate for your money? And I'm firm on my fee, and you can be confident that I will watch your money like a hawk. So how about it? Will you allow me to earn my full fee so that I can get you your full profit? You like that one?
Yes.
the hawk word got it.
Well, this is kind of like what Sarah brought up earlier, right? You're going to point out, hey, if they're so quick to give away their own money, they're surely going to be quick to give away yours. And is that really what you want? I mean, so
Well, and
hey,
that's the
how
way
about we pay a full service agent so that you can get your full profit and not leave any money on the table.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Any other ahas from that one, you guys? No? Okay. Okay, how about number 2? Lisa, read that one.
If a discount broker or agent could really net you as much money as I can and offered a better value, wouldn't they have all the listings? The reality is they only get a very small percentage of the total listings. When we sell your home and net you the money that you need in the time frame that you need, wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, pretty simple, right? If they were so great and they're such a huge value, wouldn't they have every single listing? You know, they don't. So there's more out there and more reasons why you should consider a full service realtor. Okay, what do you guys think of that one?
Makes sense.
I like that too.
Can you see yourself using it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what about number 3? Grady, read that one.
Commissions aren't negotiable with agents that sell homes daily. They're only negotiable with the realtors who don't believe in the service that they provide. Now, you told me you had to be gone in 90 days, right? You need a strong service agent that sells homes, right? Great. Then let's sell your home. Let's get your home sold so you can meet your 90-day time frame.
Okay. What do you guys think of that one?
I'm liking the first one and the second one.
Yeah.
I'm liking the first one and the second one.
Okay. This one kind of is more about like a back way of really saying these guys don't work full time. You know,
Yeah.
they're discount agents. They're desperate to get some deals. So they're cutting their commission to get the few that they can get, because agents that sell homes daily don't negotiate their commissions. It's only the people who don't believe that they can do a great job. So they're doing what they can to get the business that they can, right? And I liked this one because what it does, and this is why it's really important, you guys, to find out your client's motivation, because you can always bring them back to what their motivation is. And this script does that. So now you told me that you had to be gone in 90 days, right? So you're going to need a strong service agent that sells homes, right? So then let's get your home sold so we can meet that 90-day time frame.
Yeah.
You're bringing them back to like, you told me this is what you needed. Do you want to take chances with somebody who does this on a part-time basis, or do you want to put your faith and, you know, knowledge into someone who does this all the time, every day? And I have a proven track record of being able to get you there.
Yeah, where are we with numbers on that? Are we less time on the market versus other MLS, or where are we at with that?
I don't know. I'd have to look at the report. It just came out, I think. So you can look at the law report or the statistics that Christina sent out, or know your own personal, right? I mean, you have to know your own personal, and if yours aren't better than the MLS, check KW's. So.
Well, being as a new agent, I think I would go with KW since I don't have a record. I would go with everybody's on the team.
Well, and remember, you guys, that this is their motivation, that they wanted to be gone in 90 days. There's a lot that goes into that, not just my days on market record, right? Because if you don't price your house right, I'm still not going to get you in there. If you're unrealistic as a seller in terms of not allowing people to show within a 24-hour notice, that's not going to get the job done either, right? So we're just bringing them back to, we want to put a little fear in them, like, hey, this was your goal, and your best chance of meeting your goal is working with someone who does this full time and has a proven track record, right? Now, once they pick you, now you're talking about, hey, you want to get there in 90 days. So what's really more important now is we have to make sure we price your home right so that we're not, you know, dragging this out, right? And then you're going to go into those speeches about how important it is to price your house correctly. Make sense? Okay. Next one. So, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, do you own anything more valuable than this home? No. Could you say then that this is your most valuable possession? Yes. So if an agent is so desperate that they're willing to broadcast the fact that they don't think they have value as a realtor, then is this the type of person you want sitting across from the negotiating table, trying to negotiate you a better price? We're talking about a person who's already admitted that he or she doesn't even see value in himself or herself. Is that the type of person you want to represent you in the most valuable transaction of your life? Okay, that's a pretty strong one, right? I mean, it's kind of going to the same thing, like, hey, they're discounting their fee, which discounts what they provide, which discounts their value. Is that the right person to negotiate you top dollar and top value on your home on one of the biggest transactions of your life? Are you willing to take that chance? You know, again, to save $3,000 or $1,200 or whatever that differential in, you know, commission is. And that's a strong one. Not all of these will fit. You know, you have to find the ones that are right, the ones that you like, and they may not even be right verbatim. You might really like a portion of one, but can kind of tweak it so that it sounds more like you, or that you're more comfortable to say it. This isn't like cut and dry. Okay, these are just kind of starting points for you. Okay, response number 5. Sarah, are you still on?
Should I go do a walkthrough?
Oh, she did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So response number 5. Aaron, let's do this one again.
Okay. You know, Mr. Seller, we have gone over the marketing plan and we've looked at all that Domaille Real Estate and Keller Williams Premier Realty can offer you in marketing your home. When looking for a 4% commission, we wouldn't be able to offer all those things to you. So if you're looking for an agent who markets homes and has a proven ability to sell your home for top dollar, then let's sit down and talk about and look at those numbers. If you're looking for someone who's not going to give you our level of expertise and you're going to be just interested in getting into the MLS, then maybe we're not the team for you.
There's a takeaway, right? So you could tweak this script 2 ways. You could leave it hard, like this one, like, hey, I'm the takeaway. If you are not looking for someone who can provide all the expertise and the marketing and the proven track record than we're providing, and you just want someone to throw you in the MLS, then maybe we're not your people, right? Now they're like, oh, hold on, right? I want all that good stuff. Or you could take the script and say, hey, we won't be able to offer all of those things to you. So commissions are negotiable. So which 3 of these items off my marketing plan would you like to remove? Right? And that's what Lisa had brought up earlier, right? So I professionally clean your home prior to closing. We're going to take that out, and then I'm going to have to remove 2 other things. So what would you like to choose from? Now people don't like things taken away from them. They don't like it at all. They want everything for nothing, right? So when you start pulling away, then they start really thinking like, is it really that big of a deal? Okay. So again, sell your value so that when you take it away, it hurts. It's kind of like when we do the buyer rep paperwork and we talk about hey, until you hire me, I'm a facilitator only, right? And I can't give you my 25 years of expertise and knowledge and advice by law. I just can't do that. But when you hire me, I can do that, right? So there's that takeaway. I can't do this for you unless you're going to commit. Then if you commit, I'm all in, right? Okay. And then the last one I have is, this is a good one. I really like this one. And I didn't spell it all out for you because I'm going to kind of show you. So if you say, Mr. Seller, I can appreciate, that you want to reduce the commission and save some money. But if you don't mind, if I could just take a few minutes to educate you really on how the real estate industry works, would that be okay? Great. So let me show you the difference between an agent who charges 6% and an agent who charges 4%. So what we do as agents is we share through the MLS a portion of our commission, and it's typically 3%. And we do that to incentivize all the other brokerages to bring us their qualified buyers, okay? So with a 6% agent, I offer half of that. I offer the 3%, which is pretty typical, through the MLS. So that leaves me with 3% left. Now, 1% I've got to pay to my brokerage because all of the support and services that they provide for me to be able to do my job, okay? I also have to pay, and I should say, and my brokerage and Uncle Sam, right? The second one is what I have to pay for me to do my job, for my car, for my licensing fees, for my marketing fees, for me to prospect for buyers for your home, for me to market to attract those buyers for your home. Okay, that's this 1%. What's left on the 1% goes to what I actually earn when all my expenses are paid to put food on my family's table, right? It's what I take home, just like what you take home for your job. Okay. Now, if you're dealing with a 4% agent, we've got 4%. They share 3% through the MLS, so we're equal, okay? They have 1% left to pay their broker, to pay Uncle Sam, to pay all their marketing expenses to market your home, and to put food on their family's table. So we know they can't dodge paying their broker. We know they're not going to dodge paying Uncle Sam. And they're not going to cheat their family by putting food on their table. So who's going to take the loss here? It's going to be you and what they spend to market and prospect for buyers. Right? So that's one way to really break it down for them, is that they, by charging less commission, they are unfortunately cutting themselves off at the knees, because they're limiting their leverage and resources to be able to market your home and attract buyers to your home. Okay? So you're the one that's going to lose, because their family's not going to lose, and their broker and Uncle Sam isn't going to lose. Okay? Now, the other side of that is kind of what we talked about in one of the earlier objections, is if I share 3% through the MLS to incentivize other buyers, right? Or other brokers to bring a buyer. If someone's charging 4% and they want to retain a little bit more to do some of that marketing and whatnot, that means they're actually going to share less in the MLS to incentivize brokers to bring buyers, which means now we're back at that crossroads of, hey, Mr. Seller, you're now at a competitive disadvantage as opposed to all those other homes that are, you know, willing to pay 3% to incentivize a buyer's agent to bring a buyer. Make sense? Okay, cool.
That's a good way to, like, not even having it on paper, or just making them visualize. I think some people are visuals and some people like it explained, and that's a good way to put it.
Well, and it's kind of fun because you can get really, if you were really good with all your
Especially,
digits, you
make
could
sure you
really
put
be
those
like,
fingers
okay,
down right.
well, yeah, so then you can go, okay, well, now they got to pay their broker.
Yep.
And now they got to pay
Yeah.
Uncle Sam and all their expenses and or whatever, or their Uncle Sam, and now they got to put food on the table. What's left
Yeah.
for marketing for you, right? That's a much
Yeah.
greater visual than, you know, this and
Yeah.
that, right? We used to do it with a dollar bill, and you would just rip a piece off, and you'd rip a piece off, and you rip a piece off, and they're like, first of all, they're shocked that you're ripping a dollar bill apart, right? But you
Talk about visual.
what's left. There's nothing left for them to market your home. So, you know what you're signing up for when you choose to go down this path with a discount broker. They're called a discount for a reason, because not only are their fees discounted, but their marketing and their prospecting budget is discounted greatly. Okay. Any questions on that? Any ahas from the scripts?
I'm curious if you've ever had anyone kind of hit back at you after closing, like if you have to use, you know, one of your scripts that talk about selling the house at, like, let me get your full value. And then, you know, you wind up maybe not selling for the full value, or, you know, I average 3% more than blah, blah, blah. And then they figure out that that's not what actually happened.
Right.
How do you kind of deal with that? Or is that just in the agreement? Like, you know, we do the best we can kind of thing?
Well, first of all, I've never had anybody ever come back and go, hey, you know, you said this. And number one, you will never make promises to anybody of what you're going to sell your house for, right? I can give you a absolute for sure. Here's my statistic, and it's an average. And averages are, because some are here and some are here, right? And this is where I average out. They might be one of these, and they might be one of these. I guess it all depends on where are they ultimately deciding to price their home based on my recommendations. How quick are they to react to the feedback that I give them from showings, right? So all of those things could be a response. You could be like, you know, yes, we fell below what my normal average is. But if you recall, we were on the market 30 days. And when I asked you for a price reduction because we missed the mark a little bit, you know, you didn't want to budge off that price. And so unfortunately, we waited a little longer than normal, which could have affected that outcome, right? Or, you know, you're right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, but when I gave you that price range of a high, recommended, and a low, you chose to start at the high end of that price range, which when we talked about the pros and cons of that, I told you that it might take a little bit longer, you know, to sell your home. And, you know, that's exactly what happened. So, you know, you never promise them that I would never tell somebody I can get you full price unless I'm willing to write the check right there. I don't ever guarantee what a house sells for. And that's actually one of the scripts I use in my in my listing presentation. I always say, you should never hire a real estate agent based on the price that they tell you you should list your home at, because they do not know what your home is going to sell for unless they're willing to write you a check right then and there. Okay? You need to.
Well, and at the
hire
end of the day, they're the ones that actually choose the
Right.
price,
Absolutely.
regardless
We're
if
going
it's
to
high
give
or low. So,
Right, you're going to give them a pricing recommendation based on the comparables, and you're going to say, based on the comparables and the information that I provided with you, where do you feel your house would best, be fitted to start at in the market, right? So you're never going to
kind of just be careful, right? Then, like, when you're making your sales pitches and saying, like, let's get your full sales potential or whatever. You just kind of want to be careful with words, communicate throughout the process.
Yeah.
But okay, got it.
Yeah. So yeah, I would never promise you're going to, like I said, your full profit. I didn't say full price, right? I said,
Sure.
let me get my full fee so that I can get you your full profit. Meaning I'm still going to get you more profit than someone who's a discount agent, right? Or
under the circumstances, is this where you would do like a net sheet? Like say, this
I
is
always
pricing
do.
high, medium,
Yep.
and low. That way they could have a ballpark
Correct.
idea. If you priced at this much, if I said this, and this would be your lowest. Is that a good idea to do the net sheet?
Yeah, I always do the net sheet, and I always will say, okay, this is the high end. Like all three of these numbers are within the market range.
It's an estimated. Yeah.
Right. And
Yep.
are justified by comparables, right?
Yep.
But obviously the high end might take a little longer to sell. Low end, you're basically saying I want to sell quicker than later, right? So you get to choose where you price. I mean, it's your house, you get to choose. I'm just giving you a price range that will make sense to buyers and will make sense to appraisers so that we don't have a problem after we have an accepted offer, right? So, but ultimately it's your decision. And now if they come in and they say, yeah, we want a price at the high end, I say, okay, just so you know, again, we could very easily find a buyer at that price point, but it might just take us a little bit longer than, in the middle or at the other end. Okay. And then I would always say, and I'm okay with that, let's just be mindful that if we're on the market a couple weeks and we haven't had much activity or we don't have an offer, that we strategize about maybe a price reduction to get us a little bit closer to the middle mark. Right? Make sense? Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys logging in, and hopefully you can pick up a couple of these scripts. What I'm going to do, if you guys want to shoot me an individual email, I can send you these, or if you've maybe taken screenshots or you'll have the recording, I'm going to post this as well, but I'm happy to send these to you if you want them. Okay? Awesome. Well, I'm going to stop my sharing, and you guys have a great day, and if you need anything, reach out and call.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Thanks. Have a good day.